think the worst part of all the abuse is just the amount of shame that I cast upon myself. I mean, this whole thing probably could have been easily remedied very early had I just had the nerve to tell mom and dad. The fact is, you can't go back in time, and I do remember just how ashamed I felt and that I had this secret that I just had to bury it and never let anybody know. My name is Shawn Hittman, and I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. My abuse happened when I was 7 years old, and my little sister was 5. 7-year-old Shawn was very energetic, very, very playful, just a ball of energy. I do remember right around the time that the abuse happened that I had just gotten into soccer. My abuse was at the hands of a babysitter that we had over summer one year, and I do remember just how ashamed I felt and that I had this secret that I just had to bury it and never let anybody know.
I was sexually abused also. It was a hard time, I mean, being a little girl, and I know that carried a lot of heaviness for Shawn because he really felt like he was supposed to be the one that protected me.
Older brothers aren't supposed to let things happen to their little sisters, and similarly, boys aren't supposed to let other boys, abuse them sexually. I had buried the story and made a conscious effort to do so, but in those years, I would say that I was an emotional zombie. I'm a freak, I'm a bad person, I let bad things happen to a loved one, and I have to just find a way to make this life worth something.
We both have a story of sexual abuse, and we both have a story of healing, but he went at his in a way that just very admirable. His message to people about going in it wholeheartedly, 100%, is just so brave to put himself in another vulnerable position to help others.
Well, I came to the realization that I really needed counseling and help with these events that happened. I've never talked about it to anybody ever up until I was 29 years old. And luckily for me, somebody very close to me had done a Google search and found the Healing Center right here in my backyard, right here in Milwaukee. I think the first thing I noticed about the Healing Center was just how easy they made it for me to tell my story. I found myself saying things that I had never said before.
I could just hear in his voice that he just wanted to be heard. But I sensed that he was carrying a burden that he wanted to let go, but uncertain of who he could trust.
I feel like we're extremely lucky here in Milwaukee to have a resource like the Healing Center. And I can tell you that men would drive 90 minutes each way to come to men's group.
It's just a wonderful opportunity for people who have been carrying this burden of being a survivor for so long, an opportunity to heal.
This tremendous weight gets lifted, and you find yourself able to tell your story in ways and using words you'd never used before in front of complete strangers at times. After every session, we would end going around the room saying how we were going to take care of ourselves for the next week. And for me, it almost always had to do with some sort of exercise that I was going to do. And recently, yoga has been a big part of that.
It's been wonderful to see Shawn come back and he can be an example of that healing is possible.
Number one, just tell your story, because 1 in 6 of your friends has a similar story. 1 in 4 of your girlfriends has a similar story. The Healing Happens, a book project that I participated in, I think for me really was a big thank you to the Healing Center. I shouted it from the top of a mountain that there is a way out. There are resources out there like the Healing Center that can help you really live your life.
The thing that inspires me most about my brother Shawn is his bravery. Just to go all in and attack, darkness within you. It takes a lot of courage.
40-year-old Shawn is extremely confident and optimistic. All I really want to do is recognize how different I am today than I was just a few years ago and help other people get there. If there's somebody else out there like me who's living in the dark, who's living like an emotional zombie, don't wait. My one regret is that I just didn't come in sooner.